edition. Oh, wait a minute. We're not there yet.
We're not there
live,
yet.
Right?
We're just going live. We're
yeah, we are.
John's going into autopilot mode.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh my god.
This episode is sponsored by John Strand's Autopilot. You can subscribe for
you can do that, right? Oh man.
Today for 1995. Press 1. Beep beep beep.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's just that's the way it is. That's
doing
like
it live, Wade. Where are you, Wade?
That is literally like just whenever I start talking about some security things, I'm like, tickle me Elmo, but for Infosec, So now we're going to be talking about computer security and Metasploit.
Yeah.
Wade is in the computer. Wade is in the computer.
He is the ghost
I'm in the computer.
He's on the show. He's just like in text-to-speech mode, like someone read it in a robotic voice. I am in the computer.
Stephen Hawking mode, maybe.
Yeah.
Can we do text-to-speech, Ryan? Is that a thing? Do we have that in Restream?
You have selected Microsoft
yet,
Sam as the computer's default voice.
Yeah.
The files are here too.
What are you doing, Dave? There's all kinds of things that we can get computers to say.
I definitely got banned from computers in middle school for using Microsoft Sam to shit talk the teacher.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Happy birthday to you,
Ralph.
Happy birthday to you, Ralph.
Please.
Happy birthday to you, Ralph.
Happy
birthday
guys.
Thank you.
And now everyone knows.
And you did it live too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm glad we recorded
yeah.
this.
I regret nothing.
I regret nothing.
I hope you weren't trolling when you told me it was your birthday, because I believe
I
you.
was totally messing with you the whole day.
The whole day.
And they are singing it live. Look at that. Happy birthday,
my
dear Ralph.
God. Wow.
That's what we do.
So yeah,
it's
now the whole
amazing.
internet.
It's amazing to me how bad leg is over Zoom or any of these things. Like to sing or do anything musical, just totally. It's just doesn't work.
Good.
I would say it worked. I mean, if lag for birthday singing, lag is real in real life. Like I've never held like a birthday song that's been like synced up perfectly.
You have never been to a house of like people that like are opera singers, they're musicians in college.
Oh my goodness.
And then all of a sudden it like turns into like this a cappella thing. You're sitting there with your cake and you got a tear coming down. You're like, it was the most beautiful thing ever.
I think we matched that. I think we matched it. Ralph had a Florida tear, a crocodile tear.
I cried a crocodile tear. That is absolutely correct.
Just one crocodile tear. Just one. So, are we ready to do this so I can start pulling the strings in my back, Ryan?
I think we are ready.
All right, let's do it.
Activate John.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Black Hills Information Security, talking about news. This particular edition is brought to you by BHIS. We do security operations service. We do IR. We do network threat hunting. We also do this little thing that's going to catch on. I think it's called network penetration testing, where we break into networks and help, stop hackers from doing that thing. It is also brought to you by Antisyphon Information Security Training. If the idea of hiring Black Hills Information Security seems too daunting to you and you want to learn how to do what we do, you can totally just go to Antisyphon Security Training. You can check out our on-demand options. You can check out our live training options. And if you're just getting started and you're wondering seriously what the hell is going on, we also have pay what you can options for people just getting started in computer security. So this week, again, I am joined by the people upstairs who are moving chairs and vacuuming.
Is that an elephant in the room?
At this exact time. Like literally just started. Just like as soon as the music started rocking out, Bo's like, and it's like, so we're joined by Charles of the BSD Bandit. We are joined by Corey We are joined by Hayden, who I don't know you, man. I don't know you. Like, I'm sure you're super cool. It could be we've met multiple times, but I'm dead inside.
He's been working here for 3
Like,
years.
I'm the Slurms McKenzie of
3 years.
Infosec. I have partied too hard in this industry. Speaking of people that party too hard, we have Ryan, who finally has 1 gig fiber at his house. Ralph,
5,
May,
actually. I have 5 of them now.
finally old enough to drink. And Bronwyn, speaking of people who finally got high-speed internet, I no longer have to speak to Bronwyn as though like we're on CB radios. It's like, Bronwyn, are you still on satellite? Over. Like,
Communications by ticker tape.
the power of Elon Musk compels you. She got a Starlink satellite dish, and now she's pregnant with Elon Musk's like 10th child, apparently. No, that's not how technology works. All right.
Wow, the
We
terms
wanna
of
get
service
to
have really changed for Starlink.
Yeah, I'm definitely not signing up again. I'm out.
Things are crazy. Did I mention we're available to hire for pen tests? All right. So we need to get into the news stories. The first news story that I wanted to talk about is I don't know where this is going to go. This is from the Register. PC Store told it can't claim full cybercrime insurance after a social engineering attack. Do you all have a chance to read this article, or anyone take a look at it?
I got to find it.
Ryan's trying to find it. I'm going to
Yeah.
set the stage right now. So basically, this is a business email compromise where attackers took over somebody else's computer system and email, and they were able to send in invoices to SJ Computers in Minnesota. And as somebody at SJ Computers actually paid the invoice. Now, what's interesting about this is Travelers is the insurance company. And by the way, we're going to talk about Lloyd's of London here in just a couple of minutes as well. But Travelers defines computer fraud, which they cover up to $1 million, as intentional, unauthorized, fraudulent entry or change to a computer system or computer instructions directly onto the computer system. But here's the deal. They actually have specific exclusions for social engineering. And this is basically from the court filings. It said SJ Computers did not suffer a penny of financial loss when the bad actor hit send on the email message, and SJ Computers would never have suffered a penny of financial loss if the CEO had not opened those email messages, or if the CEO had asked the purchasing manager about them, or if ERI Direct had answered the phone when the CEO called, or if ERI Direct had promptly returned the voicemail message left by the CEO, or if the CEO had waited to hear from ERI. Basically, the CEO just went and paid that stuff as soon as it came in. This is a little bit of a terrifying news story. And I'm wondering, is this narrowly defined? Like, no, business email compromise. They were tricked out by this email and then they transferred money. Don't worry about it. Or do you think this is just the beginning? And we're going to get social engineering is going to be scoped for insurance companies to actually get to the point where they consider things like spear phishing to be social engineering. Because you can see how that bucket can get real deep real quick if you start excluding social engineering as a possible means.
Yeah, it sounds like a trend that could just come up is if you're excluding that based on social engineering, what's to stop those companies from also excluding other kinds of like user errors where if you execute a program that you know you shouldn't be executing, is that going to exclude you from that coverage as well? Like where's the line there?
I'm going to sort of disagree because I feel like this is kind of an example of due diligence. Like, I mean, the insurance, like what you were reading, John, it just sounds like, man, if you had even tried just a little bit not to get destroyed by this, we would pay you. Is basically how it read. But I mean, I feel like it's kind of, in this case, it's a little bit, you do have to demonstrate that you tried. Like if you just, although it is funny because insurance is like, if I just drive my car into a lake, it's not like they're like, no, we can't pay you for that. I'm like, well, I'm an idiot. I drove my car into a lake. They're like, here's $10,000. Your car's worth $10,000. I'm like, okay. So I guess it's a weird precedent with insurance, what it covers, what it doesn't cover. But I could see. I don't think it's a dangerous precedent so much. I think it's just companies will have to demonstrate, hey, you actually tried not to get hacked. But it is scary to imagine a company being like, oh, actually, if you double click, that actually it's not covered. If you right click, it is covered. But if you double click, not covered because that's technically social engineering. So like,
Oh my
where
God!
does it end?
That sounds like Apple Care.
Yeah, actually, you took a shower while you owned this laptop, so it's not covered.
Not covered.
Yeah.
But it was 2 rooms away.
Nope, sorry. The moisture indicators are tripped. Nothing I can do. You live in Florida, so
Hey,
warranty void.
Yep, that's $600.
I'm with John, though. This is a dangerous precedent because look at the statistics on how many compromises start with a phishing email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but and I agree. I agree with you agreeing with me, Bronwyn. But you know that idea of spear phishing, and one of the things about spear phishing is we're trying to either get code execution or we're trying to get credentials. And I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing policies change to where they're either not defining social engineering so they can keep it loosey-goosey, or they're going to be very specific in how they define it. But this is going to lead right into another Lloyd's of London article here in a second. But the fact that we have 2 insurance like stories right off the bat is kind of a bit terrifying because the insurance industry is freaking out. They're losing money on these particular attacks. And that's like, as it stands right now, I don't think I'm that worried, but I am worried about how insurance companies are going to handle this moving forward. Because you're right. Social engineering, it's like, well, if you wouldn't have clicked that link, you wouldn't have been compromised.
Yeah, and I got a strange feeling it's going to be the loosey goosey effect. I don't know why. I just feel that way. Like,
wait a minute. So you're saying, wait a minute, you're telling me that insurance companies may not be completely trustworthy?
that's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly.
See, okay, hold on. Not to be the guy that like pulls on the Jeff Bezos mask that looks like a lifeless lizard, but the thing about this is it introduces like a market space where I can just be like, actually, we do cover social engineering, so come over here and buy my cyber insurance. Like, I feel like a cyber insurance policy that doesn't cover social engineering probably not worth investing in for most companies. Like, just drop it and get a company that covers it. From my perspective, I mean, I don't know if that exists, but I will say like. This is the market, right? If my car insurance doesn't cover if I drive my car into a lake, I'll just go get different car insurance because I drive my car into a lake. When it says turn left, I turn left. But
so you've got a lot of questions you want to ask your insurance company. Does this work if I drive my car into a lake? No, that would be insurance fraud, Corey. That's illegal.
It's not insurance fraud if it's an accident. You didn't mean to do it.
What about if it was an accident? We would cover it, Corey, if you didn't put it in air quotes when you brought it up.
Yeah, and streamed it live when you were asking about it.
I will say that their insurance fraud thing is an interesting thing because, like, obviously you can be like, hey, send me an email. I'll click it, pay the invoice, then we'll claim it. Like, it is... Because in the case of like, auto insurance, they would probably look at the police report. And if it was just like the person was intoxicated, they drove straight into the lake, whatever, it's not covered. But like for what is it going to be? It's probably going to come down to they'll hire a third party company and say, was this legitimate? Did it trip the threshold for the policy and all that? I mean, I think cyber insurance is one of the things. It's like, it sounds really great until you start thinking about like the edge cases where you're like,
then it gets scary.
It's like, how much are they going to pay out? Are they going to pay me in Bitcoin? Are they going to pay that? Like, how is that going to work? Are they going to give me the Bitcoin?
Credits to Shakies? Mike B 0001, not 001, not 01, but 0001 said insurers are getting more and more aggressive with denial. Had a client get ransomware the following year, they were denied by 160 different insurers, so they had to operate for months without coverage. And I think that's also interesting because you get hit by ransomware, you file the claim, let's say that they pay the claim, and from that point on, you're persona non grata because you literally, when you're filling out for insurance, it says if you've been ransomware in the last 12 months or 24 months or 5 years is the longest one I've seen. This insurance stuff, I think I've always, not always, this makes me sound old. But I've been saying lately, that we have compliance standards, which we're also going to talk about in the show a little bit later on. We talk about government actions. We talk about all these things, and none of that really moves the needle in the industry to actually make security better. But as soon as insurance companies stop paying for certain things, that's going to move the needle.
That's
very, very
I mean, it's also the insurance thing is a numbers game, right? It's literally like, all right, how much does it cost to get phished? Divide that by however many clients we have. That's the insurance premium, right? But so I guess it's like, how are they setting these rates? Are they like with auto insurance or home insurance, they have very clear statistics on this stuff, but like a lot of stuff never gets reported, or it's reported. Like, where are they getting their data? Like, I feel like the whole lightning strikes twice thing with ransomware, like, I feel like if you got ransomware, you're not going to get ransomware again. But I don't know. Maybe the statistics.
Yeah, wasn't there that article where there was like 3 guys ransoming the same company all at once that we talked about like last week?
That's starting to sound really dirty. I don't.
Lightning never strikes the same place twice.
Yeah,
you know?
we're not going to Google image search that.
I guess we know that with insurance, with traditional insurance, it's the opposite, right? Like when you get into an accident, your rates go up. You're like, this guy's an idiot. He drives his car into a lake. Do not cover him at any cost.
Do not cover him.
I don't know. You know, I'm with Terry Pratchett when it comes to insurance. Insurance is like gambling. Basically, you're placing a bet, and you and the insurance company are each betting. One is betting that nothing will happen according to the policy, and the other party is saying, yes, something is going to happen, and if it does, then I'm going to pay you out. And Terry Pratchett,
it's interesting.
He nailed it.
And then, the deductibles means the house always wins. Yep, there's a puppy in the background. So let's keep this thing rolling. Let's see how like uncomfortable we can get people that are listening. Lloyd's of London, by the way, this is a Wall Street Journal article. Lloyd's to exclude catastrophic nation-backed cyber attacks from insurance coverage.
They're too advanced, John. That's why.
It's not like we have any wars going on using cyber warfare or anything.
This is an act of war, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, they have the most badass A's in the APT universe. But in this article, this one is also terrifying because, like Corey, you were just talking about, they have actuaries and they're saying how much does stuff cost. And when an insurance company gets to the point where they're working with numbers, they're like, we have no freaking clue. You stop insuring certain things. And with the hot nation state on nation state action. Now look at, somebody had just pointed out, Adam Johnson said, when will cyber attacks be considered an act of war? Well, that's easy. In the actual market bulletin, it said that they will not be covering acts of war declared or otherwise. So,
which means they get to pick and choose.
Yeah, they get to pick and choose. So this goes back to Mondelez, I might be mispronouncing it, which is a Ukrainian shipping company. Before the current war, they got hit with a ransomware attack, and basically they were denied because the actual malware was created in the United States by the NSA, or at least it had been actually attributed, and they said, we're not paying. Because the reason why they choose not to pay is because when you're dealing with nation state level 0 days that are then incorporated in malware, that is a complete blind corner for insurance companies. In this particular article, I think this one is more terrifying than the social engineering one because it is not that clear. In fact, the market bulletin itself, I actually pulled it down where they're basically going through and they're saying, at a minimum, a state-backed cyber attack exclusion must have, and it's one of these things or more, exclude losses arising from war, declared or not, where the policy does not have a separate war exclusion, subject to 3, which I'll get to here in a second, excluding losses arising from state-backed cyber attacks that significantly impair the ability of a state to function or significantly impair security capabilities of a state. 3, be clear as to whether cover excludes computer systems that are located outside of any state affected by the manner, or 4, set out a robust basis which the parties agree how any state-backed cyber attack will be attributed to more than one state, or ensure all other key terms are clearly defined. So what they're saying is their base policies, if you have nation states touching that attack in any fashion, if they can tie it back to a nation state, then this kicks in and they don't have to pay. But it also does say that you can have a separate war like rider where you can actually pay for that, but it's an extra premium thing that you have to pay for. But boy, you look at these 4 different things, and honestly, these 4 different things, it is not hard to say, well, this malware was created by organized crime out of Russia, and Russia is sponsoring organized crime. The other thing I wanted to ask you all is, how Mandiant and like Verizon and all of, okay, so Wade, I wish Wade was here. So when Mandiant and all these different groups that are doing IR, they're scrambling to try to attribute certain attacks to nation states or certain nation actors. How political does that get now? Because imagine that every single time that Mandiant does a write-up and they're like, this particular attack was actually attributed back to China. All of a sudden that gets really expensive, really, really.
Yeah.
Really
How do you attribute that? Like, are you expecting China to be like, yeah, it was us. We paid them. Like the attribution is already basically, throw a dartboard and be like, it was China. But like from within, even if you attribute it like it came from Chinese IP addresses, okay, so who's paying their salary? Who's gonna? No one's gonna take credit for this. And then you have false flagging where like North Korea's like, hey, it was us. Like they just say that they can just negate all insurance, and then, you know what I mean? They can be like it was always us. It was So.
Ooh, Adam just brought up, because of what you're saying, Corey, what about lawsuits against the insurance company for false attribution or incorrect attribution? Or if you're somebody like Mandiant or Verizon or somebody, it's even BHIS or Trusted Sec or a smaller, like SOC that basically goes out and said, we detected this attack and we attributed it to China or Russia or any other nation state. Like I said, all of a sudden that can be really expensive.
Well, you'd never be able to like be 100% though. You'd always say like we're 90% confident that.
And someone else mentioned in chat, like Wade, he said, "What if companies start deleting evidence that would help with attribution because they don't want it to they don't want it to prove this was
now it's really about to get wild."
Yeah. Is that insurance fraud then?
Well, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
But hey, if it's the difference between $100 million and getting a payout, I mean, that's a lot of, I guess, okay, so not to give a hot take or anything, but maybe take your money that you were going to spend on cyber insurance and spend it on your security program and, just attack them.
No. Whoa,
that's way too much.
The brakes in your car that's going to end up in the lake,
What are you trying to sell, Corey?
Okay, fine. Spend it on your luffing at the mouth.
Why is Protocol Paulie keep popping up in my mind when I'm hearing
It would be a shame, Charles, if your network got hacked. Wade said, and I think that this is a good point, even if I had all the logs, it would be hard to prove, right?
Yeah.
And whenever you're talking about a civil lawsuit, right? Like, look, if your insurance company denies you and you decide to sue your insurance company, that gets expensive. Right off the bat.
They'll make decisions about whether they want to continue because that's going to cost X dollars to continue, how much to make you just go away.
I feel like the numbers are made up anyway. Like, we lost revenue for 3 days, so $100 million.
$1 billion.
And it's like, where are they coming up with the numbers?
Right.
Adam Johnson just put in risk management about unknown unknowns. You just slather some insurance over the top of that. It's just like a coat of paint over rust on a car. No, it's new.
Obviously, these are just a bunch of clauses for insurance companies to make sure that they make revenue, right? That's it, right? They're just like, well, what if we could just avoid that whole thing? But again, this is getting like really weird. Like, what if the boogeyman comes, right?
Also, the country of origin and where the computers are, like, they're like, oh, we don't cover you because you had a one domain controller in Nigeria, so it's completely not covered. It's like,
what does that do with cloud computing? Right, I don't know if you've actually read the market bulletin. There's a whole bunch of stuff it doesn't say. Like, it's none of this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and it's not like any cyber attacks are taking place from cloud platforms at all either.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And definitely you can't just go get cloud infrastructure in whatever country you want and make it look like it was that country's.
No, you can't because it's against the terms of service. I read.
Oh, okay.
See, but that's one of the things. It's against the terms of service.
Hackers pay attention to terms of service?
That goes back to Vault and the Vault breach for the CIA. There was actually a document in there that said, hey, if you are all launching offensive cyber operations on the part of the United States for the CIA, make your malware look like it came from someplace else like Russia or China.
What? That sounds
so-
no.
Why would they do that? It doesn't make any sense.
What?
Would someone do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
They would.
Not normal.
But no, it's the CIA. They don't.
Oh, they're right. Of course, all the three
You gotta
letters
put
are
your
so
pinky up,
trustworthy.
Peggy, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we got here?
Basically, it just
Extreme
seems like
Paperclip
it's
said, could there be a
sketch.
new deck of backdoors and breaches called Unknown Unknowns?
It's called a random D20 you roll, and if it's above D10,
It's basically the closest thing to running a security operations center. We cover your head in a brown paper bag, and then we just do a pillow fight and just beat you up constantly. And you're like, I've been hacked. Oh my God. So, oh my God. I just like I said, this is setting the stage so insurance companies don't have to pay if they don't want to. And
Shocker.
Shocker. Once back, Charles is like, you mean we can't trust them? I feel like with this is going to be something for companies that are in the know. Like CISOs are going to be like, look, insurance companies are not going to pay if they can find a way out. So we have to do due diligence. We have to do this. So you're going to have the companies that are like, going to do it right. They're going to set stuff up. But the companies that are just blindly buying insurance because they think that that's just going to cover any damage if there's a hack, they're screwed because they're not listening to this. They're not reading computer security news articles. And I wonder how long it's going to take for like the news to get to them that you just can't hide or you just can't cover up your security flaws with insurance as well.
Are there any like regulatory? Is there anything that requires you to have cyber insurance? Like obviously, to drive a vehicle on the road, you need auto insurance in most states. Is that and also health insurance is like sort of mandatory? Is cyber
Actually,
insurance
let me find out
mandatory?
real quick.
Because
Let me find out.
Just
I'll
because
be able
like
to
I feel like we're basically, from my perspective, if I was a CISO right now, I'd be like, seems like a shady investment because they're not going to cover it if anyone says North Korea during any part of this investigation. It's like there's so many like, oh, well, we don't have to pay. Oh, well, this happens, so we don't have to pay. Oh, actually, this is an undeclared war. You didn't know this, but it's undeclared, so we're not paying.
It's a covert secret war. That's why.
It's just, no one knows about this war. It's undeclared, but that means we can't pay. Sorry.
I mean, it makes sense.
The most interesting part of that to me was that I think it was ThreatPost said it, that if there's no attribution, the insurance company makes an objectively reasonable assumption of whether or not it was an attack from a nation state. And so I wonder in what situation they would actually not choose the one that gets them, a ton of money saved.
They're like, you know what? Your coverage was $10. We're not going to pay.
So bad.
Wow.
All right, we got to get off insurance. Let's get off insurance.
Let's hope it's not
somebody
mandatory.
Somebody else pick a story. I did the first two. So.
Oh, hey, so I got one. AirTags. They're back. They're better than ever. No, okay, so this story is a good one, I guess. So AirTag leads to arrest of airline worker accused of stealing at least $15,000 worth of items from luggage, right? So I guess this guy, and it was from Florida because, of course, right? I can't
because they have no privacy laws.
Yeah, and so I guess there was 19. He got counted two counts of grand theft. Anyways, the AirTags were used to find him. I guess there were some AirTags in some of the luggage. It took the law enforcement a little bit to kind of like put the case together about where, not necessarily where it was, but like I start associating and then figuring out who lived in that area and stuff. Anyways, so yeah, AirTag arrest criminal. It's not all bad, guys.
I mean, imagine stealing all this stuff and just leaving the AirTags in the bag. Like it's literally like, oh,
if I was doing it, I would just resell the AirTag. It's just another profit margin,
Also, who is traveling with $15,000 of jewelry in their luggage? Like,
I don't know,
what?
man.
No. It was multiple. It was lots and lots of different sets of luggage, and in an interesting point, Daniel Miesler, he made a comment that he's going forward have honey tags in his luggage.
You have like 10 of them.
He'll have the ones that are obviously AirTags, and then he'll have stealth AirTags hidden elsewhere in the superstructure. I thought that was kind of funny.
I sew the AirTags inside of the luggage, so there's no pocket to get it out of. and so they don't even realize it.
Well, you say that, right? But I'm a child and I have no luggage, so I had to buy a suitcase recently. And there was actually a lot of them that had like interior pockets specifically for like an AirTag or things like that.
Yeah.
Or you can hide your weed in there.
They just rebranded those as AirTag pockets.
They're like weed. Sorry, AirTag pocket because weed's legal. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just really hope that whenever they finally arrested this guy, he would have said something like, "I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for Tim Cook and his dog."
You know what's weird? You know what's wild? I kid you not. I was just thinking about like Scooby Doo. Like, now let's see who the real criminal is. AirTag.
Like AirTag. It was AirTag all along.
I can just see the only one takeaway that he probably got from this is that he should have had an iPhone, so it alerted him when that was an AirTag.
Well, he did. He just had a lot of other people's iPhones.
Yes, that's right. He just kept he had to keep like turning the notifications off. He was
He's
just
like,
getting
man, these freaking iPhones won't shut up about being tracked. I'm sure it's nothing.
Gling.
Something with, and I don't know. It's like, you know, help your fellow man out. Anytime there's an AirTag alert, just hit accept on that.
Yeah.
It's like MFA
stopping a
notifications.
crime.
Yeah, just like MFA, you
Always approve the
that.
pushes.
Someone,
Those hackers are crying for help. They need your help.
No, that's IT support, and they're just helping you do your job.
You put it on IT support.
It's all about branding, Corey. You're just not branding it right.
I'm not.
Speaking of branding, BSD, Haircut Fish asked, BSD Bandit, when do we get a new Positively Blue Team podcast?
Hopefully sometime this month. I have to talk with Understudy 77.
I think someone's been spending too much time with BHIS, and he probably needs to get to doing his homework now too.
Ooh, I love y'all.
Burn.
Yeah, I know, right?
You got to invite me on that though. It sounds
That's
fun.
what I wanna
I want to do that.
host.
I want to do anything with BSD because it's just awesome. Yip yip. So keep going. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I this is one of those things. It's like technology creeping and doing things in our lives in ways that we never expected it. Like, you know.
Oh, it's gonna get worse.
I know. This is
They
just
can't really get
better.
away with anything now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think that this is just gonna stop? It's just like, oh, these are just some interesting.
Your
articles.
Roomba is going to drive up to you and be like, please subscribe to Amazon Prime to maintain life support.
if not, I know what you did last night. Oh,
I told you not to record Amazon. I said off.
Alexa, please don't kill me. I can't do that for you.
And as things
Bezos
become more
too,
like portable, I mean, think about it. Next thing you know, instead of AirTags, they'll start using the Apple fake battery packs to
That's the best ones. The best.
Now,
Yeah.
have you heard much about corporations using AirTags for tracking their assets as well?
I haven't.
I haven't.
I've actually talked to a couple of different companies that do
They're
like
cheap.
large, expensive shipments, and they've had trouble with them getting lost. And they've been dropping AirTags in them. And they literally tell the customers on the other end, hey, when you get this, you're going to have an AirTag in it, ship it back to us. Because they're trying to figure out where certain things are being stolen in the supply chain, which like I said, it's ingenious. It's absolutely ingenious kind of what you can do with some of the stuff, and creepy.
So speaking of Apple,
and all this
Oh, we
stuff.
got more Apple.
we got more Apple.
Oh,
So there was
more Apple.
2 0 days, right? Apple released an emergency fix. There was 2 0 days in Apple, and they were actively being exploited. Okay, so typically we're like, there's a 0 day.
Hold on. The lawyers would like to interject and say they may have been actively exploited.
So that's why they did the emergency out of band patch.
They
That was in the fine
may
print
have
when you
been
hit
actively
agree.
Yeah, well, we can't attribute how we attributed that they may be in use.
It's the best part is they double layer it with legalese because it says Apple is aware of a report that it may be exploited in the wild.
Well, if
So
they
it's
read a report before they told everyone about the 0 day, don't you think that that's probably means it's being actively exploited?
I know
in the wild?
it's so interesting.
Possibly. It hasn't been
Maybe.
confirmed yet.
I feel like it's like if you see someone running, just start following them. Like,
If you see me running, try to keep up.
yes, if you
But
you
it's
see
cool.
someone just sprinting.
This vulnerability, it was just one of them was just like an out of bounds vulnerability that was used in this thing called WebKit. That's not used anywhere.
Oh,
No,
WebKit?
we don't-
No, that's not
we
mandatory.
disable WebKit every time. It's like the
It's
first
not
thing.
integrated into every app, including iMessage.
No, Yeah,
Hey.
it's just
Which
not
the
a
one
problem.
that the phishing app iMessage.
So the remediation is update your iPhone because it's probably telling you to do so right now.
And your
Yeah.
iPad and Mac too, right?
What's up?
Yeah, and
iPhone,
Mac.
iPad.
Yeah.
Anybody still have iPods?
Yeah.
So were you all following this on like Twitter whenever it was announced and like the Twitterverse? I don't want to oversell it, but people were freaking out. The thing that always gets me is when you have a vulnerability like this in a vendor, whether it's Microsoft or Apple or whatever it is, there's always people like, and that's why I don't use Apple products. It's like,
Oh yeah.
how does that
Wouldn't you,
even mean? And it's like, I'm not going to let their products into my company at all.
on
It's
my
like,
Android, I haven't gotten patches in 18 months, so I know I'm
Well,
secure.
it's good. Their security is impeccable.
They don't get operating system patches from the manufacturer. Whoops.
yeah.
I just,
You know,
Go ahead.
it strikes me when people get tribal about their operating systems. I don't care if it's Apple or Microsoft or Linux or different flavors.
What?
of
It's the year of the
Oh.
desktop.
I don't-
Stop.
I don't care. When people get tribal about their operating systems and their environment, they're losing perspective because
No, agreed.
all of these things, no, they're tools. They
Yeah.
have
Wait.
good things. They have bad things.
No, they're
they have
religions.
vulnerabilities.
religions.
they have
Wade is pushing my
weaknesses.
buttons.
All
I can see
hail.
Sorry.
Wade's like, Sissa told me to update. Thanks, Wade. Not this time. Not this time. Adam
you,
asked a
but-
question. Adam asked a question. Have you ever pen tested a Mac only company? So the answer to that
Yes.
question is yes, we have. And it sucks. And
Mhm.
it doesn't suck because they're an Apple-based company. You can still get initial access on those devices, run malware. You can still do that. Post-exploitation, though, it's a nightmare. It's like an attacker, like without Active Directory, is like a T-Rex. It's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have hands.
It's because our tooling's not designed for Mac, right? We spend all of our time in Active Directory.
It's out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
It is.
And
Yeah.
so there's plenty of vulnerabilities in Mac and there's plenty of ways to work in that infrastructure. It's just that we're not typically there. So we're like, learning how to start over,
And I'm going to say Mac only companies are less than 1% easily.
Yeah.
They absolutely are less than 1%. Usually, the honest answer to this is instead of actually attacking the infrastructure post-exploitation, you instead focus on the cloud services that they're most likely using. But that's not funny. And it's not a knock and fart joke. So it doesn't go over well in shows like this. So one of the things I do want to call out is Mike B's recommendation, which you should never do. Mike B 001 said, as an incident responder, do not patch. You have to inoculate by letting the malware run through every single system.
It's like getting
That's
immunity.
the only way to get to Infosec herd immunity.
Oh my God. That's like saying just let the virus run its course.
Yeah,
And you'll be
you gotta-
fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of
course.
which, I had a friend, he actually did computer security at a German bank, and they were having a big problem with a bunch of different crypto miners and things like that. And he found out that this is whenever Zeus was a variant that was going around and doing all kinds of stuff, that every time the new strains of malware would hit, they would see if Zeus was running and they would try to kill it.
Yeah.
So what he did is he created a version of Zeus, basically just kind of neutered it. So it didn't call back, didn't do anything. It just basically ran. But if he dropped it on a system with newer strains of malware, the newer strain of malware would delete the process that was the Zeus process that he created. So then he installed his like neutered Zeus malware
Canary.
across the entire environment, and then went through and saw which of the systems in the environment was it not running on, and he would go and take those systems off the environment. That is traditionally, we call in the industry, one of two things. Either A, that's freaking awesome, or B,
Hold
an
my beer.
incredibly bad idea. Try explaining that one to your insurance company.
That's a hold my beer level of
That is a
security.
hold my beer level
Yeah.
computer security thing. So
Of frustrating and avoidable incident response meetings? Need something to pick you up from the endless void of security incidents?
$.
Now that's what I call patching, volume 187,222. This edition includes top hits from artists like Microsoft and Microsoft. Don't forget the oldies like Apache and Fortinet. This classic album will have you setting uptime counters to 0 on all your servers. Now, whether you've seen these patches on Twitter and just weren't allowed to apply them, or if you applied them and want to relive your glory days, act now for this limited time offer.
Now that's what I call patching. Send $9.99 BTC in a self-addressed stamped envelope to John Strand's Rant Bunker, 1337 Bridge Burning Way, Nullvalley, South Dakota, or call 555-525-2525. Operators are not answering now. Sorry, no CODs.
That's our first sponsor of the show.
Oh, word from our sponsor.
The Rant Bunker.
That was awesome.
Over here.
Oh my God. I got to be honest, that got me. Like, whenever it came up, I was like, what the literal hell? And I'm like reaching for my phone. I'm going to call Ryan.
I love how Wade's like,
We got hacked.
My ad blocker didn't get this.
Oh,
Yeah, my ad blogger did not see this. It did not see it coming at all.
oh, totally got me. Totally got me on that one. That's pretty
Your
awesome.
phone's gonna be ringing off the hook, John. It's nuts.
Yeah, I'm sure that Ian had to go through and make sure that there wasn't a town called like Knoll something, South Dakota, just to make sure. So all right, so that completely knocked us off course. All right, cue up another story. What do we
There was a
got?
course?
Yeah, there was a course.
Well, we're in the topic of patching. You know,
Oh, no.
there's probably another patch story in here.
Oh, how about Microsoft Sysmon can now block executables from running?
So like
Yeah.
Rundle32.exe.
Yeah, that would be bad, Ray. Don't do that. But you can provide an XML file that basically tells you, you can tell Sysmon, hey, if you see an executable and it's running, let's just say in the downloads directory, shut it down. And it's more granular than that, but it's interesting because it's almost like Sysmon is kind of stepping into the realm of trying to do your own EDR stuff. And I'm trying to figure out when this would be useful for an organization, because you can do application allow listing in like App Locker. But boy, you can definitely put in some really, really stout rules with Sysmon to stop execution in certain situations. But like I said, I don't know, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, it's more tools is better tools, but to have the ability to have Sysmon automatically stop execution is weird to me.
I would say this is how you increase your help desk workload by about 500x in one day.
Yeah, it's a jobs program. Got it, Corey. Good
I mean, which, you know, to explain what I mean by that snarky comment, I think a lot of companies are in the situation where they can implement this, but choose not to because of all the fallout that happens when people can't run things. It takes a lot of time and effort to build a secure allow list that allows people to do their job, but also doesn't allow execution of code, because Microsoft has included roughly 180 DLLs and other things in Windows that can be side-loaded, attacked, executed code with, download files with, all that stuff. So I think it's just Microsoft kind of making up for some of their wrongs, so to speak, and allowing people to harden things on. But I personally see this as more of like on a hardened system, on like a server, on an application pool, something like that, not on just like endpoints. But I do think it's nice to have tools that you don't have to pay for, except for that $2,000 Windows license, but we don't talk about that.
What? It's free. We don't talk about Bruno.
Oh yeah, sorry. The Windows 11 upgrade's free.
Microsoft with Sysmon and this is starting to look an awful lot like SE Linux.
Oh my goodness!
Just turn that off if you can't install your vendor app.
Right. So I'll give you a use case that this would have been very useful for me a long time ago. When I was at DoD, if we detected malware on a system, right, and it was nation state level malware, we really, really, really didn't want to submit it to the AV vendor. Can anyone guess why? Why would we not want to immediately submit this? So
you can get your cyber insurance payout.
Because then, it stops your cyber insurance payout, right? But the biggest reason was as soon as we submit it to McAfee or Symantec, because McAfee was the one that we were using, a signature is written and the attacker is going to immediately know that particular implant has been burnt. So we were constantly going through and trying to come up with creative ways to stop the execution of malware that we knew was from an adversarial nation state, but to do it in such a way that it wouldn't tip off the adversary that we had detected it. with a standard signature. So this is one of those things. And like Jonathan said, tracking its activity. Yes, absolutely. Tim J, providing intel to let them think that they're still going, because the more that they're using malware that we know we can burn, the better off we're going to be in the long run. I don't see that as like the average organization is going to be doing that type of activity. So this is interesting to me, right? The other thing that I think is very, very interesting is really Microsoft is honestly trying to make a case that it's dumb to run any other agent EDR, because I totally can guess that there's companies right now that are getting $20-30 million in VC funding that are literally going to do nothing but generate signatures for Sysmon. And Sysmon is going to become the EDR platform of choice. It's going to be the engine underneath it as well. So yeah, very weird. And then the final thing is, and I want to throw this all out to you, is this something that they're throwing in for like Sentinel and Defender? Like they needed this type of functionality for some of the stuff that they're doing, so they just open it up to everybody.
I feel like that's a safe
Yeah,
bet.
I think they probably needed it. They're going to use it in-house, right?
The Usted said, just block calc.exe and no exploits will run anymore.
That's right. All POCs destroyed.
Yeah,
but now all the accountants can't do their jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, with a physical calculator, what year is it, Corey? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they got
Wait, calc.exe is a physical calculator? That's kind of scary.
But if you disable it, that's all we're going to have to go to, and they're not going to have it.
Flak Vest just basically said bypass EDR on your next pen test by having Sysmon stop the EDR executables from running.
Beautiful.
Just go right after the root, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm sure there's not a DLL sideload in Sysmon, is there?
No.
No.
Hey,
Not that
this isn't BHIS talking about bad ideas again, is it?
No.
We don't do that on this podcast. This is only a good ideas podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
If you see John Strand running, follow.
And try to keep
That should be a shirt. That should be a shirt. If you want to make a shirt, that should be a shirt. If you see John Strand running, follow.
All right. So jumping off of that topic, I want to talk about tractors.
Is your tractor sexy?
National Harvester.
DEF
CON hacker shows John Deere tractors can run Doom, and the subtitle on The Verge is "Mow down your enemies."
Oh, I get it.
Wait. Are they saying it can run Doom the game, or are they saying it will cause Doom?
Run Doom the game
Doom the
because
game.
it runs on a pregnancy test, man. It runs on everything.
Yeah.
You can run it on a pregnancy test.
I'm not kidding.
Beautiful.
So one of the things about this I think is interesting is the fact that it's running Doom is funny. I think that the really interesting thing about it is John Deere is a horrible company whenever it comes to like requiring farmers to proprietary code. You got to subscribe to all of this stuff.
Right.
And by the way, this edition of Black Hills Information Security Talking About News is brought to you by Kubota. But this is interesting because it shows like jailbreaking it and how you can get it to the point where you can execute any of the malware that not malware. Jesus.
Bad ideas.
You can get it to execute
Doom is
what you
malware.
want it to do for jailbreaking it and rooting the device. So, I mean, the fact that it's running Doom isn't the end state. It's basically articulating what you can actually do with these as well. But, and this also is another thing I think people need to understand. Farmers and ranchers out there are absolutely going to follow this guide on how to jailbreak their tractors. Yes. I guarantee you to get away from the control that John Deere is giving them. John Deere is putting over them with software and basically even running their really expensive farm implements with this.
Yeah. I mean, I see this as kind of the hacker karma return of John Deere. This is like, if you make hackers angry, they will run Doom on your system that was supposed to be secure. Like,
that's the first level.
If you make a hacker angry enough, you will end up with a news article that says your tractor is so insecure that I can not only can I jailbreak it, I can run Doom on it and put in a little tractor driving through the game.
Well, the bigger picture though is this runs into the whole right to repair and who has control over your devices, and the small print, the fine print that John Deere has been using is that, well, you don't actually own this software. You're just leasing it. You're licensed
because they're really
to use
complicated.
it.
You don't understand. It's really complicated.
It's very
Yeah, that's why it's so
It's
easy
really
to
it's
jail.
not just a diesel engine with a bunch of spinny things attached. It's really complicated.
it's way more
I love Brian Godfrey's comment. How long until John Deere gets rickrolled?
Oh,
That's
not soon enough.
beautiful.
Oh man.
I just, I'm with Bronwyn though. Then people are like, you're going to talk about BMW's heated seats. Yeah, it all falls into the same bucket.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
And
I heard
it's
Tesla's
just,
coming out with a tractor now.
no, they
I made
won't.
that up. They won't. But now he's going to tweet it, and then everyone's like, "How'd you know?" I'll be like, I don't know.
I think it's one of those things though. If you play in the computer space, you play with the computer hackers, right? So.
Yeah.
If this, like John said, this episode is sponsored by Kubota. We don't know what computers are. We don't put them in our tractors. No, just kidding.
As somebody in Kubota is like, no, shut up, Corey.
We're about to launch Kubota 2
okay, but
tractors.
this gets back into the market thing that Corey was talking about earlier when we were talking about insurance. Like seriously, if I was a farmer who was buying an implement like this, I'm not going to buy John Deere. Right. I'm going to go with something else that maybe is not going to have me do a monthly subscription just for the diesel engine to work.
Right.
And I think that's got to change, right? That absolutely has to change.
But I think it opens up a market for someone else to compete in a way that John Deere is trying to, control. They're trying to be monopoly, right? It's monopolistic nature because if they had,
they have the ecosystem. It's it's similar to Apple. It's kind of, it's a little different because a $100 or $1,000 iPhone is different than $1 million tractor because it's a $20
It's
or
$1 million
investment.
tractor though. It's $1 million tractor because you can make money. That's why it's $1 million, not because it actually cost it that much to make it.
Well, it's pressure, right? Because you can have this self-driving tractor, and then you can go and milk your cows or whatever while your tractor is planting or whatever. It's sold as like an incentive, but like John said, if I can't actually use this tractor to do what I need it to do, I'm going back to the 1982 Big Bud or whatever. Like it is what it is.
And I'm going to call out Zero
Lamborghini
Distrust.
made tractors. I'm going to get one of those.
Zero Distrust brought up a great point. They said farmers can't generally afford to wait for someone to come fix their stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And, like growing up doing ranching and farming with my grandfather, there was a lot like the joke about duct tape and baling wire. That's not a joke. That's literally how that crap happens. You literally are just binding the stuff together. And if all of a sudden you're getting to the point where it's a software glitch, or if you accidentally didn't update or didn't make your payment or something happened.
There's an OTA upgrade happening to your tractor. Please check back in 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you're also looking at just let me give you an example of that, right? Let's say that this thing goes down and it's a software glitch or whatever it is, and you've got to bale hay and it's going to rain tomorrow. You have to bale hay today.
Your entire investment.
That's not an option, right? And I don't know. And it's not a good place for this. And it's not a good look. And go make money someplace else. There's better ways to do it,
Well,
Yeah,
I know
it's
that
just...
the MBAs look at it. MBAs
what was that, Bronwyn?
MBAs look at it in that the whole leasing and licensing and subscription model, it looks good for the company because that guarantees their revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
If we have 1,000 people who are on this subscription model, we know that we're going to get 1,000 times whatever the subscription price point is. And we can rely on that. So for them, it makes sense. But the problem is then we have people like the farmers, and they can't get stuff done when they need to when stuff breaks because they're beholden to this company and when they're going to get around to coming and helping out.
And Timothy Bradley made a great point. He said if it becomes too much of a problem, they will figure out how to bypass it. And yes,
just like anything else. Yeah,
that's why.
Trust me, Farming America. Now, I'm not joking. They're literally going to go. They're literally going to go to this DEFCON article. They're going to be like, okay, step 1, hook USB cable up to computer and open up. They're literally going to be like rooting their damn tractors just so they can get their work done. They're going to do it. And then Adam brought up a great point. The issue is that bypassing it will bring the attorneys, and we won't even get into like seeds and Monsanto and all of that stuff. But like the entire farming industry is just a train wreck with a bunch of these different things.
How did farming end up being like the most like? It's not like phones. Like you'd think like the most like exploited industry would be like consumers or I mean our data or whatever. But no, it's like farmers. Like, can we just leave them alone? We gotta eat. Like, can we just not exploit them? Like,
there is actually a long history. There's a reason that we got here. And it basically boils down to like over the years, larger and larger interests like IBP and all these different, very, very, very much monolithic industries that are, let's just call them what they are, monopolies, have slowly taken over the entire farming community. And that's outside of the thing of this, but absolutely, they've gotten to the point where they've become exploited communities because a lot of these large industries, either you become a large farm who's working directly with a large corporate entity, or you go out of business, plain and simple. If you want to see something terrifying, look at loans, like farm loans. If you want to be a pig farmer or a chicken farmer, you can actually get loans from the company that's going to purchase your pork or is going to purchase your chickens. And the terms are almost impossible to actually survive on.
It's like sharecropping. What could go wrong? This worked so well in the past.
Yeah, it's almost like a new form of sharecropping. But that's a whole nother thing. We aren't going to get into that because it's depressing. And
but at least they can play Doom on their tractors while they.
At least they can play Doom on their tractors, and thank God for that. So,
but then the warranty's probably voided at that point too.
Well, they didn't pay for the Platinum Plus warranty. Plus, it doesn't cover rain.
No heated seats.
Just like Corey. So does this warranty work if I were to root my tractor? Yes, Corey. That would absolutely. But no, what's going to happen though, honestly, is you're going to end up with a bunch of farmers. They're going to come up with a firmware update that you can basically flash the firmware on the device so the tractor works at a base level and stops communicating and any of the kill features are dead. That's where this is headed. And you're literally going to have people driving around the country selling this stuff out of the back of fruit trucks where they'll give you a USB stick and instructions on how to root it and install that firmware. That your tractor's still going to work just like it always did. It's just John Deere won't be in there. That's
New
coming.
Hack 5 Bash Bunny. New Hack 5
it's a Bash Bunny for a track John Deere.
Yeah.
Oh.
John Deere.
And then they're gonna have like the John Deere operatives going in and like unrooting it. They're like,
they have like a sting operation. We think you may have.
If you got a problem and you need John Deere to service it, you just take a beer and just pour it all over it. And you're like, I don't know.
What are some of the guns in Doom?
I was playing Janet Jackson and the thing just stopped.
Oh God!
Nice segue.
There we go.
For the Farmer's Edition.
Yeah, I don't know what this has to do with anything at all, other than the fact that it's awesome because Rhythm Nation was such a cool song when I was a kid. But apparently it DOSed some hard drives on some laptops.
It has its own CVE, which is the best part.
How many musicians have their own CVE? Is like Janet Jackson by herself in that regard? She's got to be at this point.
How would she fix it? Like put in a new verse?
I just want to know how they discovered this. Like what was
Right?
their methodology?
How did they recreate this condition?
Like,
So, Ralph, there's these things. I don't know if you're familiar. They're called nerds.
oh, okay, all right. Tell me more,
And
tell
like
me
when
more.
things happen, they're like, why do they happen?
No. But they had to be listening to this song.
Well, I mean, someone near them could have been doing
Frequency
it. Supposedly. Yeah, it didn't have to be on that laptop. It could be.
Here's what happened. Some company bought an IT department somewhere bought like 1,000 laptops that were affected by this. And then they were like, why is like, and everyone that comes in with the report is like, it happened right as I was listening to this one song. And they're like, what song is it?
There's one Janet Jackson.
And they test it in the lab and they're like,
We have to discover.
They also let's not just make it for Janet Jackson. Remember, these other security researchers demonstrated that they could do it with an Iron Maiden song to see if they could identify it.
So
well.
Does it count as security research just blasting loud music and waiting for my computer to crash?
It does today.
It's literally fuzzing with songs. They fuzz
This is the new toaster hacking of a new generation.
Yep.
I like it.
Rhythm.
So, but this applied to spinning rust, though. Right?
Yeah, spinning rust only. It's really esoteric, but it's interesting to think of how a physical device can be vulnerable to weird certain frequencies.
But it just makes computing that much more fun again.
It
So
does.
do you think
It
is
does.
Janet Jackson?
That's true.
So
That's
is she
true.
nation state sponsored then? Because I mean,
Nation state sponsor.
like,
You probably can't get insurance anymore.
like, do you think?
Oh
like, do you
my
think-
God.
Is this so? If my laptop crashes from this, I can't submit it to cyber insurance because technically Janet Jackson is
The nation
state.
state attack. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's a rhythm nation that caused it to go
It's a
down.
It's a
And
rhythm
she
nation.
her
That's
own
a
well.
nation
rhythm
state.
nation.
That's an undeclared war on pop music.
3,
3,
2,
2,
1.
1.
I don't know. I just, you know, that right now in Silicon Valley, there's someone that's getting like, they're doing a pitch. They're like, all right, so we need $10 million of VC funding. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing through an entire catalog of all kinds of different music to find out exactly what frequencies cause which components to actually crash. And then we're going to correlate that back to whatever government like hardware is being used by the United States government, a DOD. And we need $10 million so we can research this. It would be the new 0-day initiative whenever it comes to music. People are like, dude, are you high? No, I'm not. I'm a former Harvard MBA from John Deere. Don't laugh at me.
I am not microdosing psilocybin.
It's like a new threat. You're not going to send someone like a Rickroll. You're going to send them this and crash their
You're going to send them. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
man. Yeah.
With
Th-
platter
th-
discs
yeah.
are
Alright.
pretty much, they're not dead, right? But they're mostly dead with like consumer devices like laptops and stuff like that.
Yeah, but someone posted in the chat, what song kills AirTags? Someone's got to figure that out.
Uh-oh.
But they don't have
Here's a
anybody
pitch in
Apex.
Silicon Valley.
You
They're-
just
they're
know that
working on it.
Apex Twin out there is like challenge accepted.
I can tell you one thing though. It's for not to bring it back to the AirTags. Somebody is gonna, and it probably wouldn't be that hard to come up with an AirTag detector, right? Something that could detect AirTags, right? Like
Like
a
a metal
iPhone
detector?
That'll be in the
What?
next Sysmon.
That'll be in the next Sysmon.
0-day platter. All right. That sounds like a tasty dish. All right, everybody.
Thanks everyone, Bud Patch is here with the Talkin Bout News weather on the ones. Brought to you by Mailfoon. Mailfoon is enterprise spam for enterprises. Did you just get back from Black Hat and received a torrent of advertising and marketing emails for that weird shirt that you got in the moment? Well, it's probably coming from Mailfoon. Mailfoon, enterprise spam for enterprises. Moving into the week, we have Monday. The pew pew level is high because there is a robot uprising. That's right, robotic process automation and Blue Prism. Guess what? Major holes found in that by CyberArk. Who would have known that giving robots the ability to make the same mistakes humans do would have led to bad outcomes? Moving into Tuesday, we have the pew pew level remains high with the Q4 event horizon. What is that? Well, for those of you new to us here, the Q4 event horizon is all those projects that were supposed to be done this year that are just around the corner, and vacations and holidays are banging on the door waiting to destroy your best laid plans. So keep an eye out as that event horizon comes forth and pray to whatever deity you see fit. Now, on Wednesday, it's email, email, email. If you, again, have come back from conferences at Security Summer Camp, well, now is when the emails are coming. I hope you liked those fidget spinners, t-shirts, and mugs, because you are going to get 5,000 emails from every marketer and booth person that you spoke with. Moving into Thursday, the pew pew level is high because it is Cyber Security Awareness Month. That's right. Cybersecurity Awareness Month is coming. Are you aware that it's coming? Well, this is the time to be aware that your Awareness Month is coming and to make yourself aware that people are aware that cybersecurity is something they should be aware of. So get ready, because those emails and phone calls are coming soon as well. And then finally Friday. Well, guess what, folks? The pew pew level's down to low because it is 8 days to the return of the pumpkin spice latte. 8 days until we get those sweet, sweet PSLs back in Starbucks, and this reporter and weather person has already got their pumpkin spice in the pantry. And if you're saying to yourself, what does this have to do with security? Well, it is the one bright spot in your day as it moves into the holidays, and we get all sorts of emails from our leadership saying not everyone can leave. So buckle up and get that pumpkin spice latte as you can to get that joy inside of you for what small, brief moment you can. Again, this is Bud Patches with the AccuSploit Certified Weatherology Center. Back to you in studio.
Thank God
All
the
right.
pew pew levels are dropping
Yeah.
on Friday. I was really worried.
So happy.
I lost it when he said
I'm
pumpkin
really excited
spice.
about Security Awareness Month.
I got my puppy vest. I got my puppy vest. I'm going to Starbucks on Friday.
Just gonna make it
100%.
Listen,
happen. All right, everybody. With that, kill it, Ryan. We're done. Kill it with fire. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next time. Oh, like and subscribe or whatever. See you.
Double like, double subscribe.
Pew,
Pumpkin
pew.
spice.